Learn something else.
Yeah, don't do
so,
that.
Noah Syndergaard made his first start for the Cleveland Guardians yesterday. Pitched into the 6th inning. He left with an injury. I think a ball went off his calf, if I'm not mistaken. The Guardians ended up losing that game 7-3. So thoughts on Noah Syndergaard's first start as the Guardians and the Guardians losing to the Astros overall?
Yeah, he was okay.
I
almost really don't care about Noah Syndergaard.
No, he shot. I know he pitched well last night.
You know,
but
I was waiting for it. We need to get a Jason Lloyd. He shot. He ain't got nothing left. I need that graphic for you.
Here's the only thing I'll say about Syndergaard. It's possible, but it's irrelevant for the Guardians because he's not going to be here next year anyway.
Correct.
But it's possible he can still be a mediocre pitcher. That's possible. He's for the last 3 years he's been mediocre when he's been healthy. This year with the Dodgers, he's been hideous.
Right.
I think he's still young enough that he might get back to being. He's never going to get back to the guy he was early in his career when he first came up with the Mets, where he looked like he was going to be a star.
Right.
That's done.
Yep.
Could he get back to? Could he be a guy who pitches to a 4 ERA? Yeah, maybe. He might be okay for the Guardians down the stretch if he's healthy.
Win you a playoff
but he's
game.
injury prone. He's not part of the future. I don't really care that much.
I mean, if there's anything left to squeeze out of him, they can find it.
Right.
Them and the Rays, like he's in a really good spot.
Right.
He should be. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I don't know if he's happy to be in Cleveland or not, but he should be because this is probably the one chance he's got to salvage his career.
To get another
decent contract
next year.
Yeah.
But and that in the end, the Guardians' ability to develop pitchers is why ultimately I'm completely fine with them trading Savali because, I mean, think about it. Even for this year.
I mean, no strikeouts. That's telling.
Yeah.
5 1/3, no strikeouts.
He got very lucky. There were a lot of long outs.
Yes.
But whatever. He was fine. He was all right. He looked weird in a Guardians uniform to me.
That's a slide disc too. That's a slide disc for baseball guys to be like, no strikeouts.
Zero strikeouts is a bad sign.
When you're not missing bats, it's only a matter of time.
A lot of loud outs out there, buddy.
Right.
A lot of loud outs.
It's just leading to something bad.
Yes.
But even this year, in theory, right? If Bieber and McKenzie came back, I mean, let's hope McKenzie doesn't need Tommy John surgery. I don't know that he's going to.
Chris said yesterday.
Yeah.
I asked him. I said, I'm sorry if I missed this, but because he was talking like McKenzie's coming back. I said, has surgery been ruled out? And he basically said, you never say never, but they believe that he's going to be able to rehab through this and he'll be back in September, which surprises me a little bit.
So it's possible they have Bieber, McKenzie, Gavin Williams, and Bybee. Now, again, I know that the Guardians don't have a great chance in the playoffs because they're just not going to hit in the playoffs.
Right.
At all.
That's a pretty darn good rotation for the playoffs if healthy. Now, it's a big if.
Right.
Because Bieber's been terrible and he's been hurt.
Right.
Terrible is a little strong. He's been average.
He's been terrible before he got hurt.
Yeah,
the last
right
few
before he got
starts.
hurt, he was terrible. And McKenzie's not really pitched the entire season.
No.
But even going forward, if they're – because I'm going to assume they're going to trade Bieber this offseason. I don't think it's a guarantee because if he doesn't pitch, he might not have a ton of value this offseason.
Well, I think he will pitch in September because they want to try to establish a little bit of value. He wants the peace of mind to know he's okay.
So let's say he's traded. I mean, going into the season with the top three of rotation, Tristan McKenzie, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, I feel
that's pretty good.
That's
pretty good
about that.
Logan Allen is a 4.
Since when McKenzie coming back?
Next year.
No, I just said.
Again, we don't know for sure. But
we don't know for sure.
But Chris
Antonetti said September. They think that he could be back in September. I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah.
But
if that's the case, maybe it's a big if. I don't know. But that's a really good top 3. And, maybe by next year, Espino's in the mix. Right? And maybe
probably second half.
I think Quantrill can get back to being at least a 5th starter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So but you know what's funny?
Yeah.
Their starting rotation from opening day
gone. Yeah.
All 5 gone right now, temporarily.
Right.
Nobody's left.
Well, technically McKenzie wasn't on the roster.
Well,
opening
yeah,
day.
I guess.
What was supposed to be.
You're right.
Bieber hurt, McKenzie hurt, Savali traded, Plesac minors, Quantrill hurt.
Yeah, and last I checked Plesac's numbers, they were dreadful. Dreadful.
Do you think these pitchers or any of the players talk about the fact that they think they're not going to get any long-term deals with the Guardians behind closed doors?
Sure they do. I mean, some guys have, Ramirez and some of these other guys.
I mean, Clev said when he was traded, he came out and said, when you pitch for Cleveland, it's only a matter of time before you get dealt.
Yeah.
It's like, but even McKenzie, I would have expected McKenzie to get a deal, and I don't.
They talked about
I don't
it.
think that's
He's too injury prone.
They talked about it.
I don't think that's
You
coming.
know what? The more I think about it, and I've changed my tune on this in the last 5 years. I think the Guardians are smart not to. I think locking up hitters in their mid to late 20s, as long as it's not too long a deal, is fine.
Yeah.
But pitchers, so few of them pitch consistently well in their 30s that it's just not worth it. And because they just continuously develop guys. You've traded so many. Like, you think about the quality of starting pitchers that they've traded in the last 5 years. From Kluber to Savali to Clevenger to Bauer. I mean, and I'm forgetting. Carrasco. And none of them have been good anywhere else. Oh, well, Bieber was.
Bauer was good for a year.
I'm sorry, Bauer was.
Bauer was good for a year.
Yeah, he had that great year, but that was the COVID season.
So you're saying
he was great that year.
So you're saying pitchers are the new running backs?
No, because they're still getting paid. But
pitchers are getting big money.
But I think the Guardians are wise to not spend big money. Like I heard, like I said, Jonathan Mayo of MLB.com was on with Baskin and Phelps. I put those guys on today, and I think Jeff asked, well, maybe now that Bieber's not doing that well, he's been hurt this year, could the Guardians think about extending him of 3 years? And I'm like, why would you want to do that? If I'm the Guardians, I want nothing to do with Bieber.
I think that they moved on from an extension on Shane following the shoulder injury.
Yeah.
And that's just a hype. That's an educated guess on my part. Once he had the shoulder injury, I think they felt like they dodged a bullet.
You wonder if he wishes he would have taken whatever they offered.
I'm sure.
Because if he doesn't bounce back next year, he ain't getting a big contract.
I know Clevenger regrets not taking it because they talked to Clevenger about an extension.
Yeah.
And he declined it. And I told you before,
Yeah.
I think Trevor Bauer poisoned the well on all those guys.
Yes.
Because Clev turned it down, Shane turned it down, and neither one of those guys made the money that Trevor made on the signing bonus and being a high first-round pick. And I think it's come back to haunt both of those guys.
No doubt.
Because they'll never get Shane will never get a contract like what the Guardians offered.
That's crazy.
But for this offseason, this team has a lot of work to do because this offense has to be rebuilt. And I know that's going to include some young players, but we got to stop with a young player in every spot.
The outfield has to be rebuilt.
Yes.
Not the infield.
Fair.
They got to figure out short, and I think
that's a big position.
I think,
listen, you've got Naylor's probably your starting catcher.
Yes.
Right. Naylor's probably your starting first base /DH.
Yes. Manzardo's the other one.
Right, but we don't he's an unknown.
But he's their opening.
He's in
day.
their plan, but he's in their unknown.
You think he starts opening day next year?
Unless they want to manipulate the clock, which I don't know if they will or not.
No, please.
Don't you want to have some success at AAA before you call him up? Or
well, he'll be back this year. And again, they're not really worried about his numbers. Like they say, his exit velocity and the BABIP and all that is right where they want it to be.
At this point, you have at least one outfield, really two outfield spots.
I would like to see
you have two outfield spots, shortstop, and I'll say first base because I'll call Naylor a DH. Those are four spots where you have
but they just rebuilt first base with Manzardo.
Agreed, but you don't know if he's any good. However, I get what you're saying. They still must go add two veteran outfielders. You have to.
Yeah, you got to find bats somewhere.
You got to get power from those spots.
You got to get rid of Fran Milbell somehow. You have to attach him to another deal.
About to say.
If you trade Bieber in the offseason, then you make the team take and you take a lesser prospect. I don't give a shit. You got to get rid of him.
And
I've tried to make a team take Straw.
Well, but it's a lot easier to swallow Straw's contract than it is.
No.
Dude, for the Guardians, he's averaging about $5 million a year the next few years.
Yeah, I know. But that's a lot easier for another team to absorb.
Sure, right.
Although Josh is only 1 year.
They're looking at you like
because most teams would use Straw where he could be valuable. As
Double A.
As an eighth
Triple A.
defensive replacement
Yeah.
and a pinch runner.
Yeah.
That role, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's not a starting player.
I think you can carry Straw. It's $5 million.
They shouldn't have to start him because he's making $5 million.
Agreed.
That's the point.
Give me Elvira Espinosa.
I have a question.
I'll take
So I hear a
Espinosa.
lot in baseball, your power comes in your corners. First base, third base, right field, left field.
Traditionally.
We talk a lot about the outfield not being a powerful outfield, as far as their offensive output. So out of the outfielders that's there, can you say like Stephen Kwan is the best one? So ideally, Bull, would you want to move him to center field?
Yes.
And then get you 2 power hitters to play left and right?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. That's what I would do, right? I mean, I think Will Brennan is a nice player, but and if they had a better lineup around him, I'd be okay with him being.
I don't know that he's an everyday player in the major leagues.
Like I would. Let's keep Brennan and Straw as our 4th and 5th outfielders, and go get 2 starters.
Straw actually would be a great utility guy because he has experience at short. He played short for the Astros
let him
for a brief
learn
time.
the infield too.
So he's a guy who could bounce around and play multiple
Right.
spots, and really you can save a roster spot, maybe carry an extra pitcher or something if you have him in a utility role.
Yeah.
Where you can play him all over the place.
I'm going to start looking at who they need to trade a bunch of prospects for a corner outfielder who has at least 2 years left to control.
It's hard to make those deals,
and then
clearly.
sign one free agent at the other corner on a guy.
But their free agents that they're going to sign are the mid-level guys like Josh Bell.
But they
and you
can't
see
do
how
that. They got to stop. They got to spend money on somebody.
Well, they're not going to spend $30 million a year on a guy.
Well,
they're just
you
not.
can get a good player at $20 million a year. You don't have to spend $30.
Well, they
You're not
just-
going to get a
They just spent 16 and a half, and it blew up in their face.
And
Now
then
it's only one example.
pay costs to be the boss. You can't listen. You can't ball on the budget. At some point in time, they're gonna have to listen. I know it. Look. If your team is worth how many billion when you go sell it, you'll get your money back.
Yeah.
But you can't be pinching pennies today when you gonna get the billions and when you retire.
There's
Roll
new
out.
owner supposedly has more money. So let's go.
Oh, for sure he does. But and real quick, when you talk
Yeah.
about they have to rebuild the whole thing, I don't think they're as far off as it seems. I really don't. First base, it's Manzardo and Naylor at least. Although I just tend to wonder if they would trade Naylor this offseason. It's the 2 years of control thing. That's the sweet spot when they start trading
I
guys.
wouldn't
Is
be
2 years of
opposed to
control.
that, as long as it's not for minor leaguers.
And again, you're maximizing value because Josh Naylor is probably at peak value right now. But let's assume that they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to have it on the record. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they
No.
would try and trade him this offseason, especially now that they have Manzardo in place.
I got another question.
Go ahead.
So Jason just said, they spent that money on Bill and it blew up in their face. From where I sit as a fan, I can remember when they signed Nick Swisher to all that money, blew up in their face.
Michael Bourne.
They
blew
said
up in
I
their
signed,
face.
I think it was Edwin Encarnacion.
Yeah.
Encarnacion.
They signed them to that money, and they really didn't get the return on investment
That
that they
didn't
thought.
blow up in
wasn't
their
that
face.
bad.
That didn't blow up in their face.
He was fine. He was okay.
He was
wasn't
okay.
as good as you thought he'd be.
Right.
But I guess I get Bull's point. You just because it doesn't work, you still got to go out there and spend the money.
Sure.
Like you still got to swing
Stop.
at it.
Or then make 2 trades. They got enough minor leaguers that they can make 2 trades.
So I guess here's what I would say.
Yeah.
Let's assume Josh is here next year. Manzardo and Naylor, first base DH combination. Jimenez is going to be somewhere in the middle. I tend to think he actually may be the shortstop next year, and Freeman would be the second baseman. I think this is Arias' last chance. He's got 2 months to figure out if he
Yeah.
can hit or not. And then you have to make a decision. So Arias is going to be somewhere, and then you need something. So you've got one middle infield spot. Obviously, you have Jose at third. You have Quan in the outfield. So really, I'm with you. You need 2 outfielders and a middle infielder. That's not that bad. It's really not that bad.
Yes, but part of that is relying on 3 guys, including Bo Naylor, who haven't proven much in the big leagues.
Well, yeah.
Or anything.
I'm just saying, whether or not it works, they have the spot filled.
I hear you.
For now.
And I agree that they're not as far away
as it feels
as
right
it feels
now.
at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you'd expect some of these guys to be better next year, taking a step back. Although even Quan, who took the step back, he's playing much
He'll
better.
be okay.
He's
He'll be
fine,
okay.
And
I'd like him as a center
but
fielder,
it's been
though.
a big disappointing season for Jimenez.
Yeah, it has.
He has not really had any big hot streak or.
Well, they have no choice on that one. They are
they're
pot
locked in.
committed.
I mean, if he ends up being a bust, that's a disaster.
They're screwed.
Dunsky.
All right, Earl, what's up?